Okay, that was a bit of a joke from my vlog movie, which I'll link at the end, and maybe have some footage in this video as well. That's not really how a Nissan 350Z sounds when it starts up. That was the sound of one of my Corvettes. This is what it really sounds like. So let's take a closer look at the Nissan 350Z. This is a 2003 model, and some of the features and the pros and cons, what I think, after a few years owning it. Well, it never fails, no matter where I go, someone turns up making noise, so they're about to mow in the park here. Anyway, this is for Johnny, one of my friends and subscribers that asked me to do a review on my 350Z. As you can see, it's quite a sexy looking beast. I'll tell you the story about that in a minute, how I came to acquire it. So let's have a look inside the hatch. There's ample space for a weekend getaway, but obviously with only 2 people in the car, you're not having a whole family with you. Okay, so let's take a look at what's under the bonnet. It's a 3.5 litre V6. I always seem to forget it's not a 4-cylinder because of the size of the car. Anyway, forgive it. Haven't detailed it for ages. So that's it. It's quite a neat package. Impossible to work on virtually, which is why I paid a guy, an expert on these cars, $1,800 recently, to replace the headlights with these much brighter Xenon ones and give it a full tune and service. Here's some footage I've never put on YouTube from another day. I'll show you one minor annoyance that's not uncommon with cars. It's a safety feature, so Z33 Track Edition. Now, doesn't start. Why is that? Oh yeah, that's right. It's a bit of a nuisance. You've got to push the clutch in before you can start it. Isn't that great? And here we go. There we are. It just means you can't start the car by standing outside the window. It's a lovely little car. Just wanted to show you the engine mainly. So let's get out there. I have pre-opened the engine lid, so I can do this by myself. Obviously revving fast because it's stone cold. Now, what a nice engine bay, you're saying? Yeah. Would you like to know how I got it that way? Well, click like and subscribe and drop me a note so I know somebody's watching the video, and I'll tell you, it's dead easy. Took about 1 minute. Now, I'm not a person that's really big on changing wheels of cars, but fortunately the previous owner did put these mags on, and I reckon they're really great for this car. They really set it apart from the others. And again, I haven't polished them up recently, but they do come up really nicely. You might recognise this park as one of the ones I fly my drone in, actually. Like I say, I haven't detailed this car for a long time, but the wheels actually polish up quite well. And you see these massive Brembo brakes, front and rear. That'll stop pretty well anything. The tyres are also pretty thick, as thick as the ones on my Corvettes actually. I'll show you more of interior storage areas a little bit later on, so stay tuned for that. So a very quick look at the interior, and not the best shot you'll see. Maybe I'll do some at home actually. But you have a little centre console there, which I put my phone in. Also have a little MP3 player in there. Cup holder, which is quite useful. Not about a cup, I suppose, but good to put your drink bottle in. And this isn't a factory stereo, it is indeed an Alpine unit. Which you can't see too well with the sun, but it's a DVD player as well. Little fold-away mirrors. And a bit I really like is when you shut the door. See the top? Show you again. Because it's pillarless. Isn't it cool how it pops up by itself? Anyway, let's go for a drive. Very hot with the aircon turned off, so I don't ruin the sound too much. Anyway, yeah, let's just take it out onto the highway. It's a very hot day. There we go. Let's just take it out into the highway and give you a burst of acceleration. It's nothing like the Corvettes I had, of course. I mean, this is 3.5 litre V6, and they were like, well, the Dark Lord was like nearly 7 litres V8. But this is an extremely complex engine, whereas they were pretty well old school pushrod engines. Anyway, we'll just go out on the highway here and see how we go. 6-speed gearbox, I'm in second at the moment. I can't do much more because there's a vehicle in front of me and there's a truck next to me. Might do that one again, I think. Alright. And then you've still got 5th and 6th gears. Cruise control is awesome in this thing. Pretty accurate. I've never met a cruise control that is that great. Probably this comes a close second to a little Mercedes I had some years back. But I mean, it's not bad. Cruise is lovely. Absolutely beautiful car to drive. Very tight. No noises or creaks whatsoever. Just in this case, it's got pretty high mileage. The guy that swapped it for my white Corvette reckons that it had 80,000 kilometres. It had a new engine, but things that he said since, well, let's just say I think he had his hand on it. But anyway, it does have the original service history from the original owner, and it was in fact very good. Always regularly serviced, so yeah, there's plenty of torque with this engine. I replaced the clutch. You may have seen the video I did a couple of years ago. Very precarious position to be stuck in with the burned out clutch. Of just going out to Laidley at the time on a Sunday, and then the clutch went. And then of course I wasn't used to the vehicle, I hadn't had it long. But I did go for a drive to the coast a couple of times because I was doing a film shoot I was in. And yeah, I thought as I entered the highway, this clutch feels like it's slipping. And sure enough it was. So I was pretty sure I knew this one was on the way out. Unfortunately, I've just burned out the clutch, which I'm told will set me back about $3,000. So it's not what I was expecting from a Japanese car, but life's like that, isn't it? Let me give you a brief history of how the 350Z came into my possession. It was back a few years ago when I was selling most of my cars, and at the time the US market was really bad for Corvettes, and I had 2 of them for sale. So this one came along, and the guy was claiming it was worth 25 grand at the time, which, yeah, I don't think it was. Anyway, I decided, I had no intention of keeping it, but I decided to do a straight swap for my C4 Corvette, and this is another story for a future video. But in brief, it was a straight swap. The Corvette I'd partially restored, and that was the agreement. However, goodbye Corvette. As it came closer to the swap, he wanted me to do more and more little things, which I ended up putting the car basically back together, including the new roof panel that I'd bought. So when the Z arrived on the tilt tray and it came to take away my Corvette in trade, I decided Letty could be the very first one to take it for a test drive. Yeah?
Yeah, I'll just drive down and turn it around.
Alright. She doesn't want to give it back. The noise in the background is the tilt tray idling, by the way, not the car. And yeah, so I decided to, well, just keep it for a little bit longer, and it's now a few years on. So at the moment I still haven't sold it, but I probably will, because I don't need to keep paying registrations and insurances for so many vehicles. That was the reason I decided to sell all my cars last time. So hit me up if you're seriously interested in making an offer. I'll tidy it up a little bit first before I sell it, but yeah, my email address is in the description area below as usual. Serious offers only though, thank you. Anyway, there we have it. Let's go back into the garage where it's a bit cooler, and I'll show you a bit more of the interior with better light, because with the sunlight about it's not real good. So after I do my business up here, I'll head back to Brisbane where I live. Well, it seems no matter where I go today, I'm plagued by noise. There's a semi-trailer next to me here on the ferry just going back home. Just wanted to add that the seats are very comfortable in this car. They hold you quite well. Fuel economy, I can't tell you off the top of my head what it is that I checked once on the computer, but it worked out as something nearly on the highway in 6th gear, which is overdrive, something like 60 miles per gallon in the old money, so it's pretty impressive for a 6-cylinder car. Anyway, yeah, we'll finish this at home. There was just a little PS, and definitely everywhere I go there's noise. One thing I was going to mention too before I go, with regards to the clutch. Now, I replaced it with a heavy-duty Exidy multi-plate clutch, which was factory standard. A lot of people like to put in single-plate clutches for their own reasons, but I figured, well, it was good enough for the factory, it's good enough for me. The only thing to notice too is, even though I had, you know, everything brand new replaced, including the throwout bearing, you'll hear this noise, and I'll start the car again to show you now. Now, that's your normal idle, and making sure it's in neutral. When you let the clutch out, you'll hear it chatter if you listen carefully. You hear that? Push the clutch in. Now that is actually normal, it's just the chatter of the multi-plate clutch. So it, even though it might sound like a throwout bearing, it's not. Okay, I thought I'd add that. So just a couple of things as promised. I wanted to show you inside the car. Pivot the seat back. Forward. Got airbag there. What's that thing? Oh, that's a release. Okay. Lighting's not real good in here. Anyway, I want to show you behind here is a storage box. There's no storage in the car other than behind the seats really, so I keep a GPS in there. There's that one, and there's that little cubby hole there. Go around the other side. Oh, that's a little jack for accessories, which should be at the front. That's the one flaw I wanted to say. There's none like other cars, and it would be easy enough to put it there. Let's check out the driver's side. So, behind the driver's side, is there actually a release? I don't know. Yeah, I do like the power switches if you can see them. Not the best lighting. You have one for moving the seat forward, and one for forward and backwards adjustment, which we're doing at this moment. By rights, the engine should always run when you use accessories, because it does put a load on. But what I wanted to show you, in this case I have a big Bose subwoofer. I think that's standard. Speaker there. So another little cubby hole here. And yeah, I don't know what's in here. This is the only storage room we've really got in the car. Not a lot. Not a lot of room at all. You also have speakers around in the door jamb and down there. So there's quite a few speakers. You also have heated two-stage seats, which is something you don't really need in my part of Australia very often, but it's nice to have the option. Also something I haven't mentioned, a little trip computer. You work with that, and that will, as you press it, scroll through different readings. Like in this case it's outside temperature, currently 30 degrees. Press it again, it gives you distance to empty before you run out of fuel. You get your trip computers, which you reset, all that sort of thing. You can set a timer. Your rev limiter, which I've set to the red line of 66, and what I keep it on mostly, the speedo, which just kind of accompanies the real speedo. It's pretty accurate according to the GPS I often use in here as well. See that word slip? That's the traction control. You can turn off here. VDC off. It's actually more than traction control, it's variable dynamic control, I think. Interesting, it works on all four wheels. You don't really feel it, but it works pretty well. So as normal, you've got air conditioning, all the temperature, airflow, and you have your cruise control and everything up here. Set, accelerate. It's actually quite accurate. Turn on or off with this. You have variable wiper speeds if you need them for the front and back. And of course power windows. Left and right. Both the power windows go up, you just give it one flick. And they go all the way, which is a nice touch. Electric mirror adjustments, nothing out of the ordinary for a reasonably modern car. And a 6-speed manual, which is a very nice gearbox. A little bit notchy, but positive, and that's what you want. Reverse is actually pushed down, across while you hold it, and back. so you can't accidentally lock it out. So there's a gate there. So yeah, that's it. A little sunglass holder thing up there. Room is at a premium here in these cars. It's the only downside, I guess, but there's no glove box. Where's the glove box? Nothing. Just the cup holder I showed you. Whether there's a reason for that, maybe they could have put a glove box there, but probably not, or else I guess they would have. So that's pretty well inside the car. Forgive the mess, it needs a good clean. So would I buy a car like this? Yes, I would. It's a Nissan, so you're pretty well guaranteed that it's reliable. Apart from the clutch that I mentioned, I've had no problems with it at all. You also have airbags everywhere. It doesn't have it, the left one. Oh no, mirror. I'm thinking of the wrong car. So yeah, very compact. Like I said, I often think it's a 4-cylinder because it's so small, but it's not. Gets along quite well. Well, thanks for joining me on my short little 350Z review. Hope you enjoyed it. Cheers.